All right, so today we're here with Jovi and Roxie, and Roxie's over there sleeping. And the guardians contacted me to come out and really work with Jovi, who's quite young. She's still a puppy. She's just over a year old, and she started displaying some growling behavior towards one of their young daughters. And their main concern, as a lot of parents would be, is that they didn't want Jovi to get to the point where she started fighting. So that was the primary concern, and that's what we want to talk about today. So one of the things that we focused on was making sure that the daughter develops a really positive relationship with Jovi and vice versa. So one of the first rules that we put in place is that the dogs have a safety zone. So when they're on their dog beds, we're calling it crash. So they'll say crash. We worked on an exercise today to help reinforce that, and it indicates to have the dogs go over to their bed. Also, when the dogs are on the beds, that's an off-limit zone for the kids. So it kind of gives the dogs their own little safety net, so they have a place to retreat to, that if they start getting tired and need a little bit of a break, that they can do so. They also noticed that there was kind of a change in routine of what the dog was typically doing during the day, and it seemed to get her a little too exhausted. So I encouraged them to change the dog's routine during the day to get to a point where the dog still had enough time to relax and get plenty of sleep, so she wasn't overtaxed, which can definitely help out with the dog's relationship with the kiddos. The next thing is we went over some just positive ways for, he's okay. We went over some ways to help the kids interact with the dogs. So one thing I suggested was to make sure that the kids like to approach her and sit next to her and have her shoulder kind of next to the dog like this. So sitting next to a dog and having your side like this is a really kind way of approaching a dog. It's saying that I'm friendly, I'm kind, and I don't want to do any harm. So encouraging the kids to sit next to Jovi like this, and then pet her with long strokes on her side like this is a really calming effect. The other thing that we discussed today was just how to get the kids involved in playing some fun games with the pups. So with this, because the kiddos are still pretty young and it's hard for them to develop their own training and do a brand new behavior on their own, I would encourage the parents, the guardians, to start teaching Jovi how to do something and then letting the kids start working on it too. So one thing that we went over is a touch game. So Jovi will touch my hand, touch, and then put the treat right back on your hand. Eventually you'll get to the point where you put your hand out, touch, and you can start to do this kind of in this way and make a little game like patty cake, so the kids can kind of play a little interactive game. And also encourage that every time that we play fetch with Jovi, with the ball at least, that she sits down to work on that self-control, impulse control, and the kids can kind of throw the ball for her and have a really fun interaction there. I would also encourage the parents to always be there to supervise this game, just to make sure that Jovi doesn't get too excitable and break out of that sit-stay and not jump and lunge for the kids' hands. She has really good self-control at this point, but just with her still being a young puppy, making sure it's a supervised activity I think would be best at this point. The other thing that we talked about is encouraging that she still has a lot of exercise, but not too much. She almost got to the point where she had too much exercise and too tired, so keeping that at a nice balanced level. And then also another thing that Jovi has some issues with when going on a walk is wanting to chase all the rabbits. So with the rabbit situation, we want to use some counter conditioning or exercise that we'll call look. That's what the guardians started calling it. So this exercise will work first in the home and slowly increase the amount of distractions between being in the home when it's very quiet and then getting out to the point where a rabbit is running around. So what we want there is to have the guardians train Jovi to look at their face and say, look. Increase that to about 30 seconds to a minute, and then increase the distractions from there. So start in the home, then start in the home with the kids running around and being more distracting, going out to the front yard, and then eventually working on that with other things such as maybe if another dog goes by, not as exciting as a rabbit for Jovi, but still something that might get her excitable, and using the word look, okay? So these are all the things that you want to work on. I would suggest working on the look exercise about 2 to 3 times a day, and also working on the exercise to teach her where crashes, which is the dog beds, about 2 to 3 times a day. It's best if she can get a bit of a nap in between the exercises because it helps her consolidate memories and learn things faster. So I want to encourage you not to spend more than about 2 to 3 minutes training at any given time. And then to keep feeding her in a structured feeding exercise. Make sure that Roxie, the older dog, gets fed first, and she should finish eating all of her food before Jovi's given permission to eat. You can label the food 2 different words, so they both have a word, which means eating their food. You can use the words eat, food, different labels like that. And then the other main thing is just to try to keep a really positive relationship with her, and to just remember certain areas that are kind of challenging for dogs. So if I bring, come on sweetie, get a couple of treats here, anything that is going head on, so approaching Jovi or any dog, this is not just this dog, this is any dog, even a dog that's much older, coming at a dog and like looking straight at them is a more challenging direction to come towards a dog. It's more confrontational. So coming straight at a dog and staring into their eyes is more challenging. It's more likely that a growl or some type of warning signal would be elicited from your dog. So I want to encourage the kids to not try to approach her straight on and like staring into her face. So trying to approach to her side is a really great thing to see. Things that you might see from Jovi, just as a quick little reminder, if she's licking her mouth, yawning, moving her paw up, those are calming signals, and it's her way of saying that the kids or the person approaching might be overstimulating her, and she's trying to send signals before any kind of growl or anything like that to kind of calm the situation down. So those are just some tips on what to look for from your dog, and also how the kids can interact with Jovi and have a lot of fun with her. And last, I just want to remind you that everything you do trains your dog, just only sometimes you mean it.